When you gotta go, you gotta go. That's exactly what happened to a California man on a cross-country road trip. He stopped in Portland but couldn't find a bathroom, so he just did his business outside. But a security guard spotted him, called over an officer, and the unfortunate urinator was cited with offensive littering. That's a misdemeanor, and it's the charge that officers often use in cases like this. But his conviction was overturned last week when an Oregon appeals court ruled they are not persuaded that the legislature intended public urination to constitute the crime of offensive littering, and that a person actually discharges urine rather than discarding it, as the offensive littering law reads. So that basically zipped up his case. So does that mean you can just head outside to do your business? Not so fast, says Sergeant Chris Burley with Portland Police.
Is their decision to do this malicious in nature, in which that would probably take us in a different direction, where we would be looking at the criminal mischief? We might be looking at the indecent exposure.
Get this, there is no state law prohibiting urinating in public, but most municipalities have laws discouraging urinating in public. So we can, in fact, verify there is no state law in Oregon that bans public urination. You technically can just go outside if you need to, but do be aware. Elected officials across the country are now taking a closer look at this and banning it in certain spaces. For example, you cannot urinate in a park or in a pedestrian plaza in Portland, although that does happen occasionally.
The Police Bureau is going to understand that community members, property owners, do share a level of frustration about what is happening to their property and the smells that potentially can come from these incidents, and we're receptive to that.
So again, as we flush the issue of peeing in public in the city of Portland, we can verify there is no state law that bans urinating in public.